Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach. Today, we have the honor of welcoming back Kaleena Weakly. Kaleena is fresh off an incredible NSBA World Championship show where she and her partner, Moonlight Cruiser, were crowned all around amateur, as well as picking up several world championships and different events. Congratulations, and thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, girls. So happy to be here.
Yeah, so winning the all around has been a long time dream for you. Can you share why this is such a big goal and what it means to achieve it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's awesome to win, the all arounds at the individual shows throughout the year, but obviously winning them at the NSBA World Show or the Congress or the AQHA World Show is just like a huge goal. And I've never been able to achieve it with any of my horses. And I've had some great horses, but you know how it is. You kind of have to go one class at a time. And I don't go into the show like with that being my ultimate goal. I obviously, wanted to do good in each class. And I just tried to, tackle each class one day at a time. And the schedule was nice so that it was kind of spread out. And I was actually able to practice a lot of the classes early on in the week and know what I needed to work on. And then kind of let that class sit and simmer and then go back to it later in the week, which was kind of my goal going in since I did take 3 horses and I knew I was going to have a crazy work schedule with the 3 of them and they all had a lot of classes. So with Cruiser, I just, I kind of tested all my patterns at the beginning of the week when I first got there. We decided not to do the show your colors portion and just focus on the world show classes, which I think benefited me in my favor. I was still wore out at the end of the show, but I wasn't so wore out. My horse wasn't wore out. He was, ready and willing to do each pattern that I threw at him. And he's an awesome individual. You don't have to over practice, but we did, I will admit, we struggled with the showmanship pattern. We spent a good hour the night before struggling and and I had all the doubt in the world. I didn't know what I was going to have the next day. And we even, usually I like to quit on a good note and we even kind of stopped in the middle. Jason was like, I think we've done enough tonight. I think we're going to go out there tomorrow and you're going to get him out and you're going to show what you got. And I think he's going to step up to the plate and he's going to remember what we schooled. And he's like, don't worry about it. Get a good night's sleep. Just trust your horse. And by golly, he did exactly that. So it was really cool to win the showmanship because like I said, we really struggled the night before and we put a lot of practice in that class. And I literally went up there. We got up there with like 5 horses to go because he's not the kind of horse that you can school a bunch right before you go in. You got to do your homework the night before, the week before. And he went out there and he just nailed it.
Yeah, your pattern was absolutely flawless. I would have not have guessed at all that you had difficulties the night before because everything just looked just bam, 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 just so automatic and so smooth. I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, it made it that much more fun to end up where we did just because of the night before. It was really kind of tragic.
Yeah, no kidding, but you guys pulled it off, and that takes a lot of trust between you and your trainer and your horse. So, can you talk a little bit about that? And like, was it challenging for you to trust in all those pieces, or was that easy for you? Talk about that a little bit.
It was challenging that night for me to just like let it go. Like if I hadn't had Jason there to be like, just let it go. We need to go to bed, put the horse up. It's all going to be fine tomorrow. Like if I hadn't had him there to tell me that, I think I probably would have like really doubted everything. But I do know the horse. I've only had him, 8 months, but I do know that you can't cram everything down his throat the morning of. So I knew that everything was going to be better the next day. I just didn't know that it was going to be that much better. So it was really cool to see him, shine and trust us and trust what we had practiced the night before. And because the horse actually, funny thing about him is he was taught to set up on the wrong hind foot. So he's just recently been taught, like in the last year and a half, to switch feet. So his setup is kind of a newer thing for him. So, like when we practice, I do kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't make it like a huge issue because I know it is kind of a newer thing that he's learned. And I don't wanna frazzle him and make him think that he needs to go back to setting to the other foot. So, yeah, it's just about, like, being patient with him, but yet knowing when you gotta ask a little bit more, like, "This is crunch time, buddy. You gotta set up in 2 steps," and that's exactly what he did, and he was awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Did you have a feeling when you pulled him out that morning, like, okay, everything we did last night is going to be okay? Or were you unsure until you got to that back position and started that first maneuver?
I just told myself, I was like, "Don't mess with him," because I know the more you go and set him up, like, the duller it gets. He's that kind of a horse. So I knew if I just relied on our practice the night before, that the setups that I asked for in the show pen were gonna be my best ones. So I worked on, like, my back and my break to the walk, and I completely ignored the setup. I was just gonna take what I had because, sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, we wanted it to be perfect, but I thought whatever he's gonna give me is gonna be good enough. So I'm gonna try and make the other parts that he's great at shine, and I'm not gonna stress about the setups. And then that worked in my favor, and he did his 3 best setups of the whole year that day.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's so nice when it comes together like that. Was that your first class of the show?
That was my first class with him of the show, and of course, that's one of my favorite classes, and I didn't even care what happened after that. I was like, "I can go home happy," but I had 2 other horses to show, of course, and I had a lot of other classes with him, and so I just, I wanted in the back of my mind, I thought it would be so cool to win all around, but, I knew there was great exhibitors there and other girls that were up there high in the showmanship, and they were gonna be in all my other classes too, so I still didn't have it in the back of my mind completely that it was attainable, until every class, like, we kept being in the top 5 or the top 10, and we just kept being strong, so it was really neat.
Yeah. Were you going kind of for consistency then rather than
I
home run every
was.
single time?
Yes. After I won the showmanship, I was like, "You know what? Like, let's not put so much pressure. Like, I don't have to be the winner. Like, let's just be consistent. Let's not have a bobble. Let's stay out of the penalty box." And I really wanted to be top 5 in the horsemanship, and we were 5th. And actually, my next class after showmanship was the Western riding. And I had worked really hard all week on that class because that was one of our probably weaker classes. And he was he'd warmed up amazing, and I went in there, and the one corner of the pen, the sunlight was coming through, and I didn't realize it, but several horses had already spooked in that corner, and when I came around that corner, he saw the light and I saw the light, and it was blinding, and I even, like, looked down because it was like it just caught you off guard, and it caught him off guard, and he stopped, and I was just like, "Oh, no." And, I mean, there's nothing I could do, and I just petted him on the neck, and I continued the pattern, and, so then I knew that class was blown, so it was just like, whatever. So we went into horsemanship, that went great, and then the trail, I had a pretty good ride, I had a tick, but we still placed in the top 10, and then the last class came down to the equitation, which is another one of our weaker classes, but I had been practicing a lot in the English saddle and without stirrups, and the 2-year-old that I brought there to show was for the hunter saddle as well, so I had been riding English all week a lot. So I actually kind of felt pretty confident going into that class, and he's so trustworthy. I knew he was gonna do everything correctly. I just had to, I just had to do my part. And when I came out, Jason, he's so critical of me and equitation, and he's told me that that was my best equitation pattern I'd had all year, and so it made me feel really great. And, I knew I just needed to make it back and place in the top 10. And my score was pretty high. So I had a pretty good feeling that it was all going to work out.
Oh, that's great. And just so rewarding to have him be able to tell you that was your best pattern because like you said, you
Yeah.
put in all the effort and with everything else too, it's like, okay, we're putting in the reps and it's
Yeah.
totally worth it, right?
Exactly, and it was kinda like it was a little stressful because I knew it was coming down to that class, like, there was 3 or 4 of us girls that were up there for the all-around, and I knew it was on me, like, I was gonna mess it up or I was not gonna mess it up, and it was gonna be okay, and so I had to just forget about that stress and do as good as I could and trust my horse, and like I said, it all worked out great, and we ended up, placing 6th, and that was awesome. I was so happy. I was almost as happy as that 6th place in the EC as I was winning the showmanship.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you, not psych yourself out and how do you not let the pressure build up, when you're starting to see like, oh, and I'm kind of up there for
Right.
getting the all around and like you said, it was all on you, to not quote unquote mess up. How do you deal with that pressure?
I feel like I have always been really good about working under pressure. I don't know why, but I feel like I'll get nervous. I will say I was very nervous going into the showmanship pen. I told Jason before went in, I said, I feel like I'm going to puke. I haven't been this nervous to show in the showmanship in a long time, which was kind of cool because I made me know that I really wanted it and it was exciting. Like I felt like I had a shot again, 'cause it had been a while, but in the equitation, I felt calm, and I know that my horse is so trustworthy, like, he never wants to do anything wrong or bad, and I knew if I just kept my calm and I just did the pieces and went for accuracy, it was all gonna be fine, and I think that helped me keep my calm.
I was listening to a podcast this morning and they said that champions know how to take the anxiety and interpret it as excitement. And that's exactly
Mhm.
what you said right there
Yeah,
about how even though you were nervous about showing in that class, to you, that meant, oh man, this means something to me. I am excited
right.
about this class. I want this and I know that this win is possible. And that's really,
Exactly.
really cool that you were able to do that.
Yeah. And I think
And
we all know, like, as soon as I don't know, but I'm sure you're the same way. As soon as you enter the pen, like, those nerves kinda go away. Like, yeah, you're really nervous in the chute, but once you get up to the cone and you start your pattern, I feel like then it's, like, all business, and you don't feel the nerves as much, maybe until, like, the end of the pattern. If it's going well, I feel like then I get a little nervous again, but I feel like once I'm in the motion, I feel like I at least can focus.
definitely, your body, all the subconscious things just start taking over, right?
Right.
You're not thinking so much, you're just doing.
Exactly.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. Are you loving our show and looking for a way to show your support? Check out our line of Elevate Your Ride merchandise. From stylish t-shirts to cozy hoodies to journals and hats. We have everything you need to represent your favorite podcast. Ready to gear up? Click on the Buy Our Merchandise Here link in the podcast notes, or head on over to our website, elevateyourride.co, and click on the Store tab. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like, follow, and share our platform with your friends. So you had the 2-year-old that you were showing the hunt seat in. How did
Mhm.
you not get sore? Because English, I feel like no matter how much we work out and how many
Right.
Western horses we ride, once you put that little English saddle on, you are gonna be so sore. So how did you manage that throughout the week?
Yeah, so I told Drew DeBurr, my trainer that has the hunt seat horse. So it's one I raised, and he's gonna be like an all around project, but or he's gonna be an all around horse. He's not really a project. I love him to death, but I raised him, and so he's bigger, and so we decided we would put him in the hunt seat because that's where he was gonna shine right now. But I told him as soon as we got there, I knew I had all week because he didn't show till the last Saturday, and I had not ridden him in a hunt seat saddle yet. Drew had ridden him at home, but I told Drew, I was like, okay, as soon as possible, we've got to get the hunt seat saddle on him. I'm like, every single night, I need to ride in the show pen in the hunt seat saddle. And then, of course, I practiced on cruiser a couple times, but it was more like at least like 15, 20 minutes. It didn't have to be an hour, just a little bit every night got me stronger, got the horse more comfortable, got both of us more on the same page. Cause, he's a baby and he hasn't been ridden in a hunt seat saddle, the English spurs, the English bridle. Like every night we added a new piece of the puzzle until it was time to show and put it all together at the end. But I think it definitely helped not just like freaking out and doing 2 hours the very first night and, being wore out or, sores on your bottom or whatever. And I think that really helped. Plus, little secret. I don't know. I'm sure other people do this, but I wear nylons under my riding pants. And so that helps add another little layer of protection
I've
when
never heard of that before.
oh,
Me
yeah.
neither. I need to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So
Like,
I
for
already
me, I think for, like, the bruising than anything
yeah,
else, like, I don't necessarily get sore after riding English, but, like, not
right.
muscular sore, but, like, it's like my outer layer of skin will get,
Yeah.
like, marks or bruising or things
Yeah.
like that, so I need to
Same.
try that.
Yes, especially when it's hot. I always, like, definitely
Oh,
the shows, I start with nylons under either jeans or the breeches, and it has saved my
So
life.
smart. That's a really good idea. This is a
Yeah.
terrible story, but when I showed cutting horses, the lopers, they would just put duct tape on. And I think
Whoa.
nylons would be way better than duct tape.
yes.
So,
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure.
yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
I found Skims makes, like, a nylon short that
Okay.
so you don't have to wear, like, the full footed nylons, they're just like a short, and so they just go to
Yeah,
your knees, and they're so comfortable, and I love them.
good to
That's a
know.
good yes, but I do need to try that
Yeah.
because every little bit helps.
Mhm. For
So,
sure.
how did you so you had not only the all-around horse, which I'm assuming is that where you feel the most comfortable, and then you also had pleasure horse and a hunter under saddle horse. That's a lot of changing of gears mentally, physically, everything.
Yeah,
How did you juggle all of that?
I feel pretty comfortable with the pleasure horse too. I've had him, a couple years now, and we've campaigned him a lot this summer, so I've done a lot of going back and forth from the all around, from cruiser to Fraser, the pleasure horse. And of course, I do have to tell myself to sit differently when I go back to the horsemanship, but I love the pleasure and I do feel super confident and comfortable in the pleasure pen. And we've done our homework with him this year and he's double registered. So I was able to show him in all the color classes as well as the regular stuff, which was super fun. So I got to show him about 4 times, which was awesome.
That is fun. Do you like the pleasure class?
I do. I love it. It's difficult. It looks easy sometimes, but it's not. And in that heat, you have to, it's hard to know how tired to get them. And do you tie them up? Do you lunge them? Do you let them be fresh? And there's just so many ins and outs with each horse and what to do. And the last day, I actually even scratched my last class with him because I had the eck that day with Cruiser. Then I was supposed to go back and show Frazier, and I was exhausted. I found out I won the all around. I was excited. The last class I showed Frazier in, I'd done really well. I was like, let's just end on a high. He's tired. I'm tired. And so we just called it a day and we all went home.
How do you manage your priorities and your goals with each horse? Because, like you said, you didn't show on the last day because you had to prioritize the eck with Cruiser. So, how do
Right.
you like? I think that it's really important to kind of have, like, with three different horses, you probably have a different goal with each horse. But
Right.
out of all those three, you probably have goals with one horse that mean more to you than other horses, right? Like, I
For
think it
sure.
would be really hard to have all three goals be equal
For
because
sure.
then I think that's a great way to get burnt out at the horse shows. So, how do you manage that piece of it?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Obviously, you want to do well with each horse. My goal with my 2-year-old was I just wanted to get him around in the pen. It was actually a practice run for the Congress because that was our goal was to show him at the Congress. I ran him through the super sale last year, so he's eligible for the stakes classes, and I just wanted a practice run. So, and then he kind of he blossomed and he became better than we thought he was ever going to be. So to win a trophy with him was awesome. But really, my goal to him was just to get him around the pen and have a good experience. So that was icing on the cake. My goal with my pleasure horse, obviously, really wanted him to win a class, and he did, and he was reserve, and he tied to win another class. He just kind of he's had kind of a like a slow run, I would say, and so this year he really blossomed, and he's been really successful. And I just really wanted like the people to see how good he had been, and I wanted him to be rewarded, even though like he wins in my heart every day. I wanted other people to like him. And so, like, that goal was achieved, and we even said, like, even if we didn't win, as long as he gave me good rides, and every time, all 4 times I showed him, he gave me great rides, and so I was thrilled with him. And then, of course, with Cruiser, I had high goals with him, but every horse show is different, and it's all opinion based on the 4 judges in the arena. And so, you gotta take that with a grain of salt, and at the end of the day, you kind of still have to treat these big world shows like it is just another horse show. And those judges may not like what your product is that day, and it's okay. And that doesn't mean you need to change your product or change the way you practice or change how you show. Like there's going to be another world show, and there's going to be another set of referees on another day, and they may like your product. So you just got to keep telling yourself to do you. And if you like your horse that day and your pattern, that's what should matter.
Yeah, I love what you said there, that they're not always going to like the product that you put in front of them, but you
Mhm.
have to be confident enough to know that what you are putting in front of them is what you're proud of and that you're
Right.
happy with what the all the work that you've put into to be able to show them that. And
Yes.
it was just a great testament to with that many classes that you could consistently go out there and say, this is who we are, take it or leave it. This is who we are, and just be happy with
Exactly.
that. And it's so nice that they appreciated it because I was privileged enough to be able to watch a lot of your runs, and you looked great. You just looked really confident. Your horses looked really happy, and it was fun to watch.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, yeah, it was really fun. Are you looking for that extra competitive edge, struggling with show pen anxiety, or looking to set and achieve meaningful goals with your horse? Schedule a session with me, Lauren, your dedicated mindset coach. As an experienced competitor, I understand the mental demands required to excel at the highest level, and am here to support you in building a plan to help you stay accountable and reaching those goals. For more information, check out laurencervelli.com or click on the website link in our show notes. Let's work together to elevate your ride. So, with having that much success, does that make you more relaxed and excited for the fall shows, the rest of the shows? Or are you kind of like, oh man, we can't let up?
I would say a little bit of both. Like I'm definitely excited. I do feel super accomplished. It was, if anything, it meant a lot to me because last year at this show is where I lost my other show horse tag. And I didn't even get to show him at any of the world show classes because he passed away before the world show classes started. And so, honestly, going into the show, I had a lot of angst just being there because that was my last show with him. And it was kind of like emotional. And so I was trying to keep those emotions at bay and focus on showing. And so it just really, it meant even more to me because I just felt like Cruiser and I were doing it for tag. And I was just really proud of that. And it was a terrible situation, but I feel like I truly feel like he's the reason that Cruiser got brought into my life. And, I just appreciate going into the show pen, win, lose, or draw. Like, it's just different. Like, after you have an experience like that, it's just different. Well, I mean, you've lost, I know you didn't own Rooster at the time, but, you lost Rooster, and it's just different. Like, you appreciate things differently. And it just a good run means a lot, whether the judges love it or not. Like, it just I don't know, it means a lot. And so going into these next shows, it definitely is a confidence booster knowing that they like our product, and I know how to operate my new horse, and we get along great. But you can't let down, and it's a different season, and it's colder, and it's not, I mean, there's just so many different variables. And I don't want to I want a fresh horse at the World Show. That's always hard doing Congress and World Show, but I feel like I'm confident in my team and my horses and everybody I got around me, and I'm just excited, and I just wanna go and enjoy it and, do it all over again.
Yeah, yeah, having a team around you makes all of it just so much better and sweeter when you do win, and then, like you were saying with the tragedy with tag, like, having that team around you is what helps you get through that, right? And I
Right.
can totally relate when you were saying how you're thankful that, tag was able to bring Cruiser into your life, and the things with Rooster too, of what he's been able to bring into my life, and we miss them, and we know that they're with us with these rides, and we try to do our best to, make them proud and kind
Right.
of keep that legacy going.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're excited to be able to cheer you on. You did mention something about the weather, which totally reminded me of Rooster. When the weather gets colder, he would always get extra fresh. I'm like, it's the end
Yeah.
of the show season. Aren't you tired? And he said, no, it's
Yep.
it's a new day.
Yep.
So how do you manage the weather and stuff?
Well, so it will be new to me just because this will be my first Congress with Cruiser. But the awesome thing, I mean, I could go on and on about how much I love this horse, but so you don't have to tie him up. He doesn't need lunged. He's just like a giant walrus of a unicorn. Like he's just the best. And so, like, if anything, I have to jazz him up for the classes, like for the horsemanship, for the showmanship. Your best to show him fresh out of the stall for those classes. So I'm kind of hoping, I mean, I'm not going to count on it, but I'm hoping that the brisk weather will give us a little that we need for those classes. And we'll just see, I'm not going to be disappointed if, he freshens up and we have a bobble. I mean, obviously this is going to be a learning curve for me for the weather, but I'm not really paranoid about it. I'm kind of looking forward to the cooler temps for him. But, my other horse, on the other hand, the pleasure horse, I'm sure he'll have some lunging in his future, but, and probably the 2-year-old, but he's pretty laid back too. So we'll see. We'll see. It'll be fun experience.
Yeah, it'll be a learning curve for sure. At least you don't have, 2 or 3 horses that all need to be,
Right?
lunged for
Yeah,
hours and hours, so that's
for
good.
sure.
So what is your goal setting process like as you, start to head into the fall majors?
I'm gonna kinda stick with the same outlook like I had at NSBA, take, each class, tackle each class as they come, but, try and get a lot of don't leave everything to the last minute, try to have my goals and my aspirations and get my order of things practiced ahead of time so I know what needs to be worked on and not leave it all till the night before. But really, with the pleasure, it's just gonna be getting them in the arenas and staying consistent with the pleasure horse, and same with the young one, just getting him in the arenas and, the pattern stuff. I mean, I won't be able to get to Jason's beforehand to practice the patterns, but I do have my daughter's horse here at home that I can ride. So I can practice stuff with him when they, give us the patterns ahead of time.
Yeah. How often do you practice the patterns when they do give them out?
Well, with the older horses, I don't really like, I'll show Cruiser, not show him, but I'll go through the pattern with him. Like maybe go through it all at the trot, and then I'll add in the pieces just so that I know the lines. And I practice a lot of the spins so that he knows where the spins are, just because he is a slower minded horse. But I don't do too much of it. He's pretty good about I mean, he doesn't really anticipate anything, but I don't necessarily have to drill it over and over and over by any means. But I think I'm definitely going to do the same type of schooling that I did at the NSBA for the showmanship because that worked well.
Yeah, yeah, do it twice, so then at the world show, you'll
Yeah.
know, like, "Okay, it wasn't just luck. This
Right?
is a proven system here."
Yeah. Yep. Do
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good
and
good drill a couple nights before and really get it in there and then just trust what I've got the day of.
exactly, and talking a little bit about the world show, you have a prelims and then a finals. Do you treat the prelims any differently than you would a finals in preparation?
Actually, guess what? This year, there are no showmanship prelims. It's one go.
What?
Yep.
Why?
I thought it was a typo. I guess because entries are so low, or last year they were lower. There's one showmanship go.
I don't think I like
Wow.
that. But I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Especially the showmanship where the scores are so tight as it is.
I know. Yeah. I looked and I looked and I called some people and they're like, "Nope, there's just one go this year." I'm like, "Wow."
Wow, okay. So does
Yeah.
that change your mentality at all?
No, I'm kind of excited for that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I think it's kinda neat. Yeah. And it's like right off the get-go. It's like the first class and
Well,
it's
at least
done.
he'll be nice and fresh and light
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
why I
I
like it because 'cause I'm like, usually there's a couple days, you got a couple classes in between, and for this horse is not good if he's tired, so,
oh,
yeah.
good. Well,
And
maybe, the stars are aligning already, so
yeah,
that's exciting.
yeah.
Knock on wood.
That's what
We'll be
I'm putting
watching.
out into the universe.
I like it. You've gotta
Yeah,
put it out there.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good then. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Very
yeah.
interesting.
Hi, everyone. It's your personal trainer, Ellie. If you're looking to become a stronger, more balanced, and flexible rider, I'm here to help. I offer virtual personal training sessions and customized workout plans that you can complete on your own. As a fellow competitor, I understand the physical demands riding requires, and my goal is to help you perform your best for your horse, whether you're preparing for a show or just want to improve your everyday rides. Visit lopindowntherailfitness.com or click on my website tab in the notes of this podcast episode to learn more. Let's work together to elevate your ride. Let's go back to talking a little bit more about your NSBA show. So, what made this year or this show different? Like, how or why were you able to finally push through to get that goal of winning the all around?
Oh, I don't even know that like I said, it wasn't like I mean, obviously, it's always in the back of all of our minds, we'd love to win it, but I know that I was just like, "You gotta be consistent, like, you gotta place in a lot of your classes, or you gotta win, 2, and then if you bomb the rest, you might have a shot," but I didn't wanna put that kind of pressure on myself. I wanted to be consistent. I wanted to have several good goes in my classes. And, he's really great in the trail. He's really quite well at several classes. So I knew we could have a shot at it. But like I said, I did not put that pressure on myself. I just wanted to not have huge bobbles. I wanted to be consistent. That was like my key word. Like, just be consistent, stay out of the penalty box, don't have any bobbles. He's got a couple quirks, that I know like to stay away from. And his past owner, Kelsey Young, had messaged out to me and had like given me a few pointers about certain arenas or certain things she thought he might be quirky about. And which was awesome. She's always messaging me and we're always talking back and forth. I love her to pieces. And so I was real diligent about getting him in the show pens every night, which most of my classes were in the Mustang, but I made sure that he was super comfortable in the Mustang. I didn't want anything to spook him. Of course, the sunshine coming in that one day was unavoidable. I couldn't really practice that at nighttime. But I just made sure he was comfortable. Like, that was the normal practice pen. And I didn't want him to have any jitters going into that, him getting nervous walking in for the show, thinking he was showing. So I just wanted it to be like a normal pen for him every day. And I wrote in there every chance I could get. And just tried to practice like you show. Cause a lot of times I'll practice a little nonchalantly and then I go in and Jason says, "Well, you asked for a lot more in the pen than you do in practice." So I made sure that when I practiced, I tried to ask as hard as I was going to ask when I'm showing. That is something I have to work on all the time. And then, like I said, just take it one class at a time. Don't worry about the next class until that other class is over. And I always try and, watch. I lucked out with great draws the whole week. So I'd try to watch, the first 5 or 10 in my class or the class before if we had the same pattern. Made sure I saw the lines that I liked and, did my homework.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. I like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that you had plenty of hours in the saddle practicing and all that sort of stuff. But I like how you answered that you made it about making sure that your horse was comfortable and making sure that you had, that strong connection with your horse, chatting with the previous owner, like really getting to know your horse instead of, trying to mold him to fit what you need, you're molding to fit what he needs. And I think that
Right.
that's really cool. And I think that if more people did that, then they'd probably see more results and get to their goals sooner.
For sure. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like trying to meet in the middle, like seeing if he'll adapt to some of the things you're doing. And then you need to also adapt to the ways he knows. Like he is 14 years old, so he has his own way of doing things. So it's for sure like a definite partnership of meeting in the middle.
What advice would you have for somebody who is trying to win an all around at a world show?
I would say, like I said before, take one class at a time. Don't think about the all around, because if you think about the all around, you're not gonna get the all around. You've got to just, don't put all that pressure on yourself. You have to focus on each class, be the best you can be that day, because the more stress you put on yourself, it's probably gonna backfire on you and mess with your mentality of each day and each class at hand. You gotta allow yourself grace and be okay with that day and be proud of yourself and your horse, and you'll get it one day. It may not happen that year, but look at me, 42 years old, been doing this since I was a teenager and it finally happened. So don't give up.
Did you do anything different to prepare, like, your mind or your body for the show? Like, I know the last time we had you on, you talked about how you work with a personal trainer and how you're working on your strength, working on your conditioning. Do you do anything different to train for, like, the world shows specifically? Like, 8 weeks out, 12 weeks out, do you start working more on specific things, or do you kinda keep your routine the same? What do you do for that?
Oh my gosh, I have a story for you. So, yes,
Perfect.
I usually do. I mean, usually, yes, I would like zone in, really crunch down, work on my strength training and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? In April, I got tennis elbow
Oh,
and on
no.
my right arm. Yes. And it has been tragic. And
Ugh.
so I have had to completely like revamp my training with my personal trainer because I literally cannot do anything with my right arm. Like I can't
Oh,
do
shoot.
push-ups. I can't do it's terrible.
Oh,
And
no.
of course, I'm right arm dominant and
Yeah,
and I thought it was getting better. And then in June, when we were at Premiere, I tried to saddle my own horse and I re-injured it. And so my physical
ugh.
therapist, like, you cannot use your arm. You need 6 weeks rest. And I'm like,
Oh, no.
like, I can't take off 6 weeks. Like, you're crazy. And so at all of these shows, it's so embarrassing. All of these shows, I've had to have everybody saddle and unsaddle my horse like, literally in the middle of the night, I'm asking poor Sarah Lebsock if she'll saddle my horse for me because
I'm
it would
sure
just
she
be
doesn't mind.
no, but it would just be her and I out riding, and here I am, like, I'm an old 42-year-old, I can't saddle my own horse, I can't do anything, and so I'm sure my left arm is gonna be, like, way more bulkier than my right arm because of all this, but good news is it actually started healing, getting way better while I was in Tulsa, and I actually am
Good.
feeling no pain today, but if you notice any pictures while I was in Tulsa, I had this hideous looking bandage on my right arm, like the K tape, but
Yep.
it really helped me out a lot. But yeah, so no, I did not get to do my normal, like, get down to business and work out and get stronger for these shows because I mean, I did work on my lower body. We did focus
Right.
more on legs and butt and all that good stuff, but I couldn't do a lot of anything with arms. I couldn't do anything. I mean, anything. I could do a little bit of back and a little bit of shoulders, but they're really
Yep.
just not much upper body.
It's so hard because so many upper body exercises require that the elbow bends and straightens.
Yeah.
So when you hurt your elbow, when you hurt a joint, you're pretty limited in what you can do, right? And
Yes.
you don't wanna just do left arm stuff because you don't
Right.
wanna you don't wanna become unbalanced and then be super strong on the left side. So it's like you
Yeah.
almost have to let both sides get weak, and then when it heals, you'll have to
Yeah.
work on getting them both strong again. But that can be kind of a hard transition to when you're used to being, so independent and being able to saddle
Yeah.
and unsaddle your own horse, and you can do all these things. And then all of a sudden to be like, yeah, no, I can't do
Right.
it. Can somebody else do it for me? That's a really hard spot to be in when,
Yeah.
you feel like you have to ask people for help, and you like trying to explain, like, oh, like I'm not being lazy. It's because I hurt my arm.
I know, and
And
it seems so simple,
so
like, I
hard. Yeah.
and it's like, I don't even play tennis, and they wanna call it tennis elbow, and I'm like, "This is ridiculous." And, yeah, now that it feels better, my therapist is still like, "No, you gotta take it easy. You can't go, like, gung ho back into everything because you could really, like, re-injure it really easily." So I'm trying not to
Ugh.
be too crazy,
It
but
Horse people are so horrible to rehab because we start
yeah,
to finally feel better and they're like, "Okay, like I can do all these things now. I can lift the 50-pound saddle.
yeah,
I can pick the hooves. I can do all these things." And then your body's like, actually you can't, and now you're gonna get re-injured." So
yeah,
it's really hard to like actually allow your body the time to rest and recover and then
I
to rehab correctly
right?
because you might have rested long enough, but then if you go back too soon, then you're gonna hurt it again. It's such a balance.
It sure is.
Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up to date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.